Part 3, the monthly payments. So you didn't like money, did you? Because divorce really says, we're going to take that money of yours and we're going to take it away. We're going to give it to somebody else. There are 3 payments that a divorce guy gets to deal with, or in my situation anyway. So we have payment 1, which is alimony. Alimony, spousal support, we'll call it to equal genders, but let's be real, this is wife money. Okay, so this is money that you're going to get paid for what you used to be, which is a wife. Now you're an ex-wife, and you're cashing in on all the nice things that you did as a wife. Alimony. Number 2 is child support, which we're going to call mummy support. It has nothing to do with kids other than the more kids you have and the more time you have your kids, the more money you get from the other person. A third expense is what's called Section 7 expenses here in the province of Alberta in Canada. It could be called something different in other places. What this is actual child support. So these are things that go over and above the basic needs of child support. I think child support has mostly to do with like food, water, shelter, and clothing kind of things of just keeping a human alive. Everything over and above that is this Section 7 expenses, which will include things for young kids. Daycare is the main thing that you're going to be dealing with in terms of costs. Any school activities, any after-school activities, saving for college, any medical costs, so dentist is a big one. Anything over and above basic stuff. And then what that is it's a percentage of guy who makes more money is going to pay this, and girl who makes less money is going to pay this. And it's this percentage that you fight over from 50-50 as to who pays more stuff for your own kids. When you see the situation from a perspective of defendant, of somebody decides that they can do better and they're going to leave your sorry ass, but not without every dollar they can get, you'll see just why women do this. It's fantastic. You leave and you get nothing but trails of money behind you. And it's not your money, it's other people's money. Mainly that fucking baby daddy of yours. It puts things into perspective as to why somebody would choose to do this rather than work on their relationship and try to be a better person, say. It's much easier to leave, get a new man, and get all that money after the fact. So, spousal support is something that you get for being an ex-wife. I think there's probably a few husbands out there that get spousal support, and I'm sure their family and friends are very proud of them that that's how they supplement their income, is by being an ex-husband. For most of them, it's ex-wives who say, I had this quality of life when I lived with this fucking guy, and now that I'm out, I'm going to take that quality of life with me to the best of my ability. Other than that, I really don't see what it can possibly do for somebody, other than I get to make money by leaving this guy, so I will. What the hell? I was married for 6 years. I cohabitated, lived with, you'll call it cohabitation on your separation agreement. It's the length of time that you lived with your person prior to marriage, and then you have a date of marriage until the date of separation, and that is your time of marriage. I don't know if the cohabitation has any power for making that longer. You'll have to talk to your lawyer in that case. The laws changed around 2020 when I was going through this process as to who was getting paid when. The laws changed a little bit, so the cohabitation was actually important as well as marriage as far as money goes. So you'll have to, this is already a number of years ago, things could have changed again, I don't know. So we have spouse money, and getting paid to be an ex-wife is something that always kind of made me think. So whatever lawyer calculations that they do to decide what your monthly payment is going to be, I got a proposal for $300 and some odd per month for 5 years, or I could just add it into the asset payments of a lump sum of $20,000. And that was what they had decided. My lawyer told me that's about right as far as whatever the word fair is being used. So I said, okay, I'm getting loans to pay out loans to go and deal with all this shit that I have anyway. Why not add $20,000 more and just pay it out so I have less monthly bills? Anybody over the age of 25 says, I have enough monthly bills. I don't need to add a $300 and some odd payment for my ex-wife who's fucking other dudes. That's not really what I want. But instead, how about I just toss a hot $20K in your lap? That'd be pretty sweet. We have $20,000. One thing about alimony is that it's taxable. So the government decides at this point, because they're going to become part of your lives now, that alimony is going to be considered income and you have to pay income tax on it. So we have $20,000 and now we take 10% of that away. Is 10%? I don't really know, but for this bit, it's going to work out great. So we have $2,000 gone in tax. We got $18,000 left. You were somebody's wife for a time, and you did certain things as a wife. No mommy stuff, no kid stuff, no anything other than wife. What does a wife do for a husband? Well, I looked at that and I said, okay, well, what did my wife do for me? Some people have wives that are really helpful and they do things and they're really supportive. Well, I could only think of three things that my ex-wife did for me that were like wifely duties. One of them was cooking. Okay, so we take old school wife duties, right? Now, cooking was something that she did pretty good. She cooked most of the meals, and one of the favorite things that she cooked was this omelet, right? She had this omelet. She'd take stuff out of the fridge, whatever was there, some vegetables, cheese and meats and stuff, and chop it all up and make an omelet. This omelet I got maybe twice a month. It's a fantastic omelet. My mom made homemade salsa, a little scoop of homemade salsa on this omelet, cut it in half. I got a big half. Oh man, that was pretty fantastic. So now we look at, well, what is it, in terms of time putting forward to this omelet? We have the prep time. So we have to, got to get the cutting board and the knife out of the drawer, and you got to get the stuff out of the fridge. My kitchen's a pretty small kitchen, so it wasn't a lot of moving around to add extra minutes to this. I figured prep time with cook time, 15, 20 minutes. So first thing we have is cooking. I'm going to put $3,000 into cooking. For this time, I got this omelet about twice a month. We were together for about 12 years. At 144 months, times 2 omelets, we have 288 omelets. It comes out as $10.42 on an as per omelet basis. Now, I paid for all the groceries, so it doesn't count the actual eggs, or the ham, or the cheese, or the veggies. It does take into consideration all of the labor that goes into making an omelet. So $10.42. Now you think, on top of groceries, okay, we got 2 eggs and a little bit of stuff, maybe it's $15. I don't know if you've been to a restaurant lately, but if you go and try and get an omelet for $10.42, I think you're going to be a little bit disappointed, and the person making it for you in the back is also going to be disappointed if you offer them $10.42. So I think I got a bit of a deal here as far as $3,000 for cooking, because those omelets were really good, and I still kind of miss them a little bit. Next up, we have cleaning. So again, an old school wife duty that they used to do this years ago. They don't do that anymore. Now it's oppressive, it's offensive, and white men should do it all by themselves. But she did help a little bit with cleaning. I would think in the duration of our marriage, she cleaned my bathroom about 4 times. So 4 times over 12 years, yeah, it might not be considered a lot. But this is like a full tub scrub and, vacuum and wipe all the short and curlies out of the corners and clean the sink, clean the mirror. My bathroom is pretty standard size bathroom, not very big, so it wouldn't have been a huge time, but it was 4 full bathroom cleanings. So we're going to give $2,000 for cleaning, and we're going to give her $500 per bathroom cleaning. Now, I think that's pretty fair considering that any cleaner that you've hired, if you say to them, okay, look, we're gonna clean 1 bathroom in my house. What is your cost to come and show up to my house with all your own supplies and stuff and clean up my bathroom, full tub scrub and everything? Hopefully they're going to charge you a little bit less than $500. So I think I'm being pretty nice in giving you $500 per cleaning. Now, cleaning the rest of the house, well, I helped in a little bit with that. Now, I'm just making sure that the bathroom was the most important thing, because really, scrubbing a tub and scrubbing the toilet, that's real love. And next up, the only other thing I could think of that was a real wifely duty was her laying on her back for me. And I thought that was, real nice of her. Now, being a guy that's been with the same woman for, at the time, about 12 years, that turned out to be quite a lot of times, because it was more than the bathroom, it was more than the cleaning. It, to me, was one of the main things of being married to somebody or being with somebody, is really having your way with them, now and again. I figured, I did a little bit of math here, and I figured, I probably got laid on average about twice a week, which I thought was pretty decent, because of course in the beginning you're like, yeah, all the time, right on, and you move in, it's a little bit less, and then you get married, it's a whole bunch less, and then you have kids, and then she's like, you still live here? The fuck, go away, you're a piece of shit, go buy something and bring me stuff. So teetered off a little bit at the end, but throughout the relationship, I think I averaged about twice a week, which is pretty decent for a guy, I think. So we take the remainder of what's left there of the $18,000. We have $13,000 left after cooking and cleaning. We have $13,000 left. Turns out to be about 1,248 times. That's a lot of sessions. So because in the beginning I was, red-blooded male, pretty healthy, we're going to round that up to 1,300 times. That is a lot of sex. Heck yeah. Now we look at that and we say, okay, we got $13,000 left. We have 1,300 times, 1,300 sessions. That equals out to be about $10 per session. So I don't know about you guys, but I think I got a hell of a deal here, because most men that I know, if they had to prepay for alimony and say every time you get laid you got to put $10 away over in a safe somewhere, I think most guys would go, you know what? I'm paying for it anyway. Might as well throw it under 10. I got 2 5s. You can do it in change, whatever you got. If you don't have any today, maybe at payday you put, a couple, whatever you have to do. So I think it's a great way to look at your situation and say, look, alimony, great that you got paid for what you used to do. But what did you get out of that? I got a lot of omelets. They were always good. I got my bathroom cleaned 4 times. And I got laid 1,300 times. And she's an attractive woman. So I thought, what the hell? Once I looked at it from this perspective, it really seemed like I got a hell of a deal at $20,000. She, I don't know. If you had to explain it like that from the receiving end of, I got all this money, what'd you do for that money, ex-wife? Well, I cooked a bit, I cleaned very little, and I took a lot of D. Well, might not be so good on that end. So I say, take that money, you've earned it.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
Okay then.
Your second payment you're going to deal with is child support. So we call this child support, and it's really they just take the guilt and they just layer it on like a thick peanut butter. And it really has very little to do with children. So what I call it is mummy support. There's a lot of people that leave marriages and say, I have all these kids to deal with. How am I going to pay for these kids? I'm not. How about baby daddy pays for them? Okay, so this is what happens here is this child support goes towards the basic needs of a child to stay alive, in my opinion. I think there's probably some paperwork on what it actually does. I never really read that, didn't really need to. It was very evident very quickly that this was about making sure that I get as much money for my kids from baby daddy as possible. So from the baby daddy's perspective, this guy, is that you're paying somebody now to take care of your kids, pay for your kids, even though you could totally do that yourself. Some dads can't. I'm one of those guys that can. Interesting thing about child support. You take child support and you say, okay, salary 1 versus salary 2. And so you have money that goes against each other, and then you put kid 1, kid 2, however many kids you have, I have 2, and you put them in, and then you say, we have, what kind of custody do we have? We have shared custody, we have full custody. The calculators online, I didn't see any spectrum of shared, because of course shared can mean a whole bunch of different things. I got 50-50, so I think that's the best you can do as far as shared. And then for you, between full custody and shared custody, there'd be a spectrum there. So put both of those numbers in for yourself. If I get 3/4 or I get 1/4, or whatever it is, it'll give you some kind of a ballpark to work with for this figure. And then it would spit out a number. Now, just because you have shared custody doesn't mean that you're not paying her. Turns out that she's getting paid pretty much no matter what happens, unless she makes more money than the guy, which means she has to pay him, which I think happens to a couple of guys here and there, but for the most part, not. Interesting thing about child support is that it's not taxable. This money goes directly right to her checking account, and she can do whatever she wants with it. There is zero accountability for this money whatsoever. As long as baby daddy's paying baby mama, or by the first of the month, this money, whatever it's $100, $1,000, $10,000, just goes straight to her, and she can do whatever she wants with this money. That's the end of the transaction. No lawyer can help you past that. I mean, they can go and take a bunch of your money and make a story about how horrible she is, but there's no guarantee that that's really going to happen of any kind. As far as legal goes, she just gets that money, and that goes to her. On the day that I bought my kids from her, when we did that whole mediation thing, it came out to a payment of $883. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. So I was paying her directly at this time, and I was paying her $800 a month. I thought to myself, how big a deal is it for $80 a month? Is she going to sue me for $80 a month? Maybe, because she already sued me once. Maybe she could sue me again. And I thought, what the hell? Let's just play with this for a while and see what happens. So for a number of months, I paid $800 a month on the first of the month. And she often sent me text messages, because that's how we communicated, of, hey, deadbeat, you're not paying enough money. And so that's how we would start our day out. And it really dawned on me, like, man, does she love child support or what? It's like her favorite thing. And so after a while, I thought, you're probably making a little bit more money than your basic bullshit wage that you told the court that you were making. So I'm going to start paying $700 a month. Well, she didn't like that a bit.
Not one bit.
And told me, I don't like this a bit. And so I said, well, you're making more money now. Maybe you could, help. And maybe I could move on with my life a little bit and you could get off my financial dick once or twice. Well, not. In July of 21, I got a big package in the mail, and it was from what's called maintenance enforcement. So this is the body of government that goes after deadbeat dads and makes sure that they pay baby mamas top dollar child support as per their request. And these guys don't fuck around at all. If you don't pay them, they will find money. And now, too, you've involved the government in your life as to I have to pay them for them to pay her. The new amount was $888 a month from the original $883. And then, of course, they can go with back pay and all this stuff if they want to. They just give you this number, and you can decide to go and fight it, or you can say, I guess I'm paying that. There's a few rules, though. Number one, you can no longer give your ex-wife money directly because that will not be counted towards anything that's going on over here. All the money for child support has to go to them. They need the money a week early, so you have to pay by the 25th of the month. And then on the 1st, they will pay her. I thought, okay, you've gone to the government now. You've spent all this time creating a file. You have all this stuff going. And your increase from what I was paying you to now what it is $43 a week.
Swimming in it. I love to dive around in it like a porpoise.
That is a lot of pain in the ass to go through for $40 a week. However, here we are. So now, this has been 2.5 years straight now of me paying them directly, and then they pay her directly, and this is how we live our life now, and this is how a lot of people live their lives. Why does somebody have to go through the government for this? Well, just to make sure, I guess. If guy's not paying that top dollar, you make him. And that's what the maintenance enforcement program is for. And lastly, we have what's called Section 7 expenses, which is the percentage that you fight over on actual child support. So things that your kids are actually going to deal with, they need money with. So school activities, after school activities, medical expenses, college, daycare for all the young kids. This is something that is actually quite an expense. So this is a percentage now. So you take whatever custody you have, however much money somebody makes, and you decide on all the kids' expenses from this day forward are going to be paid this percentage by daddy and this percentage by mommy. So we went back and forth a bit on this, I guess. I don't even really remember anymore. But it turned out that I was going to pay 71% of the kids' expenses, and she was going to pay 29% of the kids' expenses for everything, no matter what, which is a pretty sweet deal for her, because when you pay $1,000 and then she puts in her money of a little bit, which is just money that she takes out of child support that you've already given her, and then puts that back and then pretends that she's paying you for it. And I saw that right away and I said, well, if you're just paying me back with my own money, I think that's not equal. That's not what I would consider a strong, independent woman. So I've become a dad now that says, I'll just pay for stuff, okay? I look at the situation where my ex-wife fought long and hard for this money. She put a lot of effort into it for a full 1.5 years of getting all these dollar amounts for everything. And whenever she sets something up, it's always, you have to send, like for daycare, for instance, is they need to see a copy of the separation agreement that proves that this is the actual by law amount that this guy has to pay and that she has to pay. So she loves this shit. She's like, absolutely. I have the separation agreement right here on speed dial. And there it is, just right there. And the guys take, okay, well, your portion is this and your portion is this. And then they have to separate the payments for daycare and stuff. And it's just, oh my God, why, woman? Instead, what I've done at this point is to say, look, I'll take the kids to the dentist on my time and just pay bills. If my kids need new clothes and new shoes, which they always do because they keep growing and they're supposed to because they're children, you just buy them shoes. I don't want to have to go to somebody and say, you owe me 29% of the dentist bill. Fuck off. Just keep your money. Put it towards your new tits or something, whatever you like. It doesn't really matter to me anymore. I'm fortunate to be in a position where I don't have to go to her for money. And I will do everything in my power to continue to be that man, because that's who I am. I don't want to be a part of something where somebody's percentage matters. Like, no, it doesn't matter. You fought for your money. I want you to keep it. So it's an interesting situation to be in where people are usually strapped for cash, no matter what the situation in their life is. And then you just add divorce now, where you have lawyers to pay, and then alimony to pay, and then child support to pay, and then actual child support to pay. And you just add this to your monthly bills of, where is this coming from? We don't care. Pay it, Mr. Duncan. And so you're forced in a position to say, okay, I'll pay for it. And this is what being a divorced dad is like. You just have all these bills that just appear in your life, and she's really going to make sure that these bills stay in your life. Because why would you go and try and get $10 an hour raise at work when you could make your financial problems baby daddy's problems? What I would rather do is just say, look, I'll just pay for the kids. Why am I paying a sorry excuse for a mom who can't take care of herself when baby daddy's got this money sitting right here? Do they need new pants? Do they need a new shirt? Do they need something at soccer practice? Sure, I'll just pay that. Why am I paying her to pretend that she's equal to me? I don't get it. But this is the world we live in. And I don't see it going anywhere. Divorce is a huge business, and it's going to stay this way. So I've outlined these payments here, and this is about what you're going to be dealing with. Now, depending on your kids, how long you guys were married, there's all these different, once you get to a certain time, 10 years, 20 years, there's lifetime payments sometimes where guys are paying their ex-wives for the rest of their life. So this is just how we do things here at this point in time in humanity, and it's a huge business, and it's doing good. Business is very, very profitable for a lot of people, and it's not going away. So do your best to say, how can I make this work for me? And find ways to do this. Find ways to make more money. Sell stuff that you don't need. Where are you going to move? Where are you going to make this, right? If she actually got what she wanted, which was $4,000 a month initially, then I'd be up shit creek. I'd be living in a box in the ditch because I would have lost absolutely everything. And I don't recommend doing that because it's cold here in the wintertime, and living in a box is not awesome. You can't even get cable. You don't have an address. What are you going to do now?